What's going on, everybody? We are back again. It's been a while. Especially been a while for CB since she was out a little bit. But we are back with another episode of Lions 411. Glad that y'all could join us. Of course, same old King Keith. Y'all know where y'all can follow me, underscore Dr. King Stream, Twitter, Instagram. Definitely feel free to check us out at on TikTok as well. I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to CB because she's been the one that's been MIA for a little bit. So if the people forgot about you, go ahead and remind them.
Listen, man, y'all know what's going on. Okay, you don't know what's going on. So I had oral surgery, had to recover from that. It was tough, difficult, but had a great surgeon. They took care of me. I am good. I am great. We will be continuing our regularly scheduled program every week or every day after the Lions play. We'll recap everything. You can follow me on Instagram at CB Love That. Oh yeah, you can follow me. You always laugh when I say that.
So silly.
But you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify at 411 Lions. You can also follow us on TikTok at the 411 Lions. Oh, question about TikTok. Ain't that gonna be banned or something?
I'd wait to see. It's gonna go through a lot of appeals in courts. It'll probably be some time before that happens, but we'll see what our incoming president has scheduled for us.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Yes, but you can, I guess, for now, follow us on 411 Lions on TikTok. But yeah, check us out and leave a comment. We do appreciate everybody. Yeah, I know we were gone for a couple weeks, but we back. And we are back for a lot of stuff we gotta talk about. So let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely a lot going on with the Lions. On the surface of things, the Lions are 12-2. They've had a very productive season. Arguably the best team in the league at this point in time. But most recently, they had a very hyped up game against the Buffalo Bills, and it definitely lived up to its billing as far as, no pun intended, its billing as far as being an exciting game. And a game pitting two really good teams against each other. Of course, the Lions did come out on the wrong end of that game, which I think we've got a little bit spoiled because the Lions typically don't come out on the wrong end of the games this season. But they did lose to the Bills 48-42. And that score sounds about right as far as how the game went. The Lions struggled a couple of times on their early drives, but for the most part, neither team could figure out how to stop each other. The Lions just particularly struggled for the whole game to be able to stop Buffalo. So the Bills did pull it off. And the Lions are now 12-2. Things are looking a little bit more murky in the division, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But as far as the game itself, a lot of interesting things happened in this game.
Oh,
CB, just name two or three things that really stood out to you from this game.
obviously, you know, I don't even want to say it. But I gotta give props where props is due. Obviously, Josh Allen. I mean, his performance was sensational. I would say also when we'll talk about his performance, obviously the Buffalo receiver got a little bit. He got his a little bit. James Cook on our end. 3 defensive players injuries. I believe our season-ending injuries, right?
For a couple,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, because we got McNeil, we got Dorsey. Those two are done. Not here
Hmm.
for the season. We got Carlton Davis with a broken jaw.
Yeah. So that's it looks like at least a 4 to 5 week injury. I mean, early postseason, we could see a return, but like it's a broken jaw. You just kind of like it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, wow. But yeah, like you said, both defenses obviously could not stop each other. Obviously, the Lions could not stop Josh Allen and the Bills from rolling up the field. Oh yeah. If you say name a couple things off the top of my head, that's what I got. That's what I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see the Lions play against a quarterback like Josh Allen because when I think about it, the Lions haven't played a quarterback like Josh Allen since last year when they played a quarterback named Lamar Jackson. Um, and that game did not go well for the Lions. They couldn't stop the Ravens. Um, there's a thing about this Lions defense. Aaron Glenn has been fantastic this year. Now that he has the players that he needs to be able to implement his system, but he's very rigid as far as what he's going to run. This year, the Lions are going to run man coverage like a shit ton. Like they're going to line up and say, "Look, we're going to try and get after you. Our guys are going to cover your guys."
As we saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in a game where we know how man coverage is, you can lock a guy down for 2, 3, 4 seconds. But when you have these quarterbacks like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, who can extend the play and keep it going, eventually somebody's going to get open. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen have rocket arms. Josh Allen in particular, they're going to hit guys. They're going to make plays if you leave your guys in one-on-one coverage and you give them time to be able to throw the ball. And it just, I think Josh Allen got into one of those grooves where he just was feeling it. There was nothing we could do. Like the only thing you can do is actually get to him and stop him from throwing the ball. And it just didn't work. The pass rush just kind of wasn't there. And we saw that Lions defense struggle for the first time in what felt like a while. I mean, I guess they didn't play that good against Green Bay, but they played good enough. This week they just kind of weren't able to figure it out. And a lot of things, like you had mentioned, the injuries come into play where, of course, McNeil went down, Dorsey went down, Davis went down. But the linebackers have been gone for a while. And as we saw, Josh Allen was just throwing the ball to the running backs, every single time. And you know whose job it is to cover the running backs? It is the linebackers.
Linebacker.
No Anzalone, no Derek Barnes, no Reeves Maben, no Malcolm Rodriguez. So we got guys like Ezekiel Turner and Trevor Nowalski playing roles that they're not bad players necessarily, but they just aren't cut out to cover those kind of guys. Ty Johnson had like 95 receiving yards in the first quarter as a running back, as a backup running back. That lets you know that the Bills just kind of knew how to expose the Lions offense, and they ran a game plan that the Lions just kind of didn't have any answers to. And the injuries have a large role. Don't want to make any excuses. The Lions knew who was out. They knew what they needed to do. But I mean, there's only so much you can do when you have a weakness in your defense that you just kind of can't do anything about. And the Bills attacked it. I mean, I could go on and on as far as the scheme related things. The Lions kept allowing Josh Allen to go out to the right, to get out of the pocket. You let Josh Allen out of the pocket, you let him run around, you let him kind of look and survey the defense. He's going to find somebody. And if he doesn't find somebody, he's going to take off and run. So it took a very unfortunate turn. I don't think we were necessarily expecting that, but we also did expect the Bills to score some points. So
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. Obviously, before the season started, what I had circled on the calendar was obviously Dallas. And before all the injuries happened, the 49ers, who ended our season January 28th, 2024 to be exact. But as the season goes on and we know we had beat Dallas, obviously we got our revenge on them. 49ers with the injuries and the losses they have, we're no longer concerned about the 49ers. So December 15th was the game that became the game that I circled. And obviously the Bills, they are, if not the highest scoring team in the NFL. They have 7 straight games where they score 30 or more. I knew this would be a high scoring game. I still had us winning, but I knew this would be a high scoring game. But my issue was, can we get Josh Allen on the ground? That was my biggest issue. And unfortunately, what I've seen, we were not able to. But definitely attest to Josh Allen. He played good, okay? But this season, I definitely see a different type of hunger in him because he has much less turnovers than this season than he did last season. Because last season, Josh Allen has always been Josh Allen. But last season, I'm like, you just gotta wait on him to make a mistake. You gotta wait on him to fumble or throw an interception. But this year, he's not doing that. So to be playing good, to be right now, I would say front runner for MVP, and to not turn the ball over. He already a big boy as it is. What is he? 6'5", 250, something crazy. I mean,
just a giant.
He bigger than some players on our defense, damn it. But,
yeah, for sure.
So some of the missed tackles that they had with Josh Allen is like he a big boy. You ain't gonna be able to pull his arm or just grab his ankle, things of that nature. But James Cook got off, of course. Ty, he got off. Looks like 5 receptions, 114 is what he ended the game with. Josh Allen, 362. I know he had a couple run-in touchdowns. I think he had some throwing touchdowns.
Yeah,
But
it was a lot. It was a lot coming at you.
the Bills got off, but also so did we on offense.
Yeah, and that kind of conversely speaks to what we can still expect from the Lions, which I think everybody was like, they can score points against this team, and they did. And at one point, you could just see Jared Goff being like, "Excuse my language, but fuck it, we're going to go out there and we're going to just throw the ball down the field." And it was working. I mean, they were successful with that, but obviously when the defense isn't getting any stops and you get behind a little bit because they had a couple rough possessions early in the first quarter, it just kind of put him behind the 8 ball a little bit. But this Lions offense is still
It's
almost
still
as good.
rolling.
Yeah, the obviously losing Montgomery is tough. They did
Yep.
lose Montgomery to an injury. I believe it was an MCL sprain.
Yep.
Some reports are saying that it's the end of the season. We don't know if that means regular season. We don't know if that means postseason. David Montgomery was asked last night at his coat drive if he feels like he's going to come back and play. He said he hopes so, but I mean, we really just kind of don't know right now. And I mean, the running back position is not the most critical position necessarily on the field because running backs can be replaced. But David Montgomery is kind of a different level of like what you expect from a running back. Like he really breaks a lot of tackles and falls forward, and in those short yardage situations, he's about as good as they get. So the Lions are going to feel that, and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be there. Jahmyr Gibbs is fantastic. He's an amazing player, and I expect him to continue to just take off, kind of playing the full 1A role at this time. And they got some guys that I find interesting. Craig Reynolds, the team really loves. Sione Vaki. Yeah, Vaki's going to be a guy that probably gets to play on passing downs as well. They got some interesting players, but the pass game is rolling. St. Brown, who I kept telling you, I feel like St. Brown was injured those past couple weeks. Like there was something that was bothering him, but this 10 days off was going to get him back to speed. He came out rolling. Fantastic game. I believe he had like 12 catches for 190 yards or something insane like that. He's all reliable. J-Mo's still playing good and still progressing well. Sam Laporta seems to be getting back into shape. The offensive line is playing well. Jared Goff is playing ballsy. Tim Patrick is giving us good catches. Like the offense
And a
still,
touchdown.
yeah, like he's been great. He's been outstanding.
Oh yeah.
For him to be what the fourth, if counting Gibbs, maybe even the fifth option, you can win like that. You can certainly win like that. So utmost faith in this offense to be able to score points. It's really just how much are these defensive injuries gonna cost us?
I mean, I hope to get a couple guys back soon because I believe we'll get Anzalone back probably beginning of the playoffs.
He's the guy that I'm looking at where I'm like, I cannot wait till he comes back. And it's so funny because when Anzalone first came to Detroit, I was like, who is this? He's not playing well at all. But he had a lot on his shoulders, and Lions defense was just really bad in 2022. Like the players in general on the defense. Now that they've helped recreate that defense, they've put good players around him. He's been really good. Obviously, he went out with the forearm injury. I think he's going to make a world of difference. I really do think he's going to be big because he's going to allow Jack Campbell to kind of play a little bit more of the two kind of guy as a linebacker versus having to be the guy. And Anzalone is pretty good at being in the right spot. So I think he is going to make a huge difference. I'm hoping that he comes back before the postseason, honestly. I believe he's eligible to return week 17. So hopefully week 17, week 18, I'd love to see him be back for that Minnesota game because it looks like that game might mean a lot. But yeah, there are a couple other guys that we're hoping to get back from injury. Obviously, later on down the line, some guys that may be coming back soon. I'm not sure if you have your eyes on anybody else that's returning.
Because McNeil is gone for the season, right?
Yeah, looks like McNeil, I think, towards ACL, so he's not coming back.
Carlton Davis, we'll get him probably playoffs, obviously.
Yeah, that's the hope. That is the hope. He posted a picture Through the Wire by Kanye West on his story the other day, which I feel I feel him. I hope CD3 comes back. I've loved his attitude this year. He's been great.
Because I know Trevor has some issues with injury. He's not injured, right?
Who?
Trevor Nowalski.
I think he was out, or I'm not sure. I think he may have been out though, and they of course have had to play Quan Alexander and David Long and all these other guys. Um, he's one to look out for. Melifonwu eventually will be back. I don't know what keeps going on with him, where he's almost there but then not there. Um, I am looking at this cornerback position though, because obviously you got Terrion Arnold.
Oh,
You got Terrion Arnold, who is, I think he's one of your guys. Like, he commits his penalties every now and then. He's not perfect, but I think he's been really good for a rookie. Rakestraw is potentially going to be back this week, and I'm wondering what do they do with that? Because you got Amik Robertson who can play inside or outside, but preferably inside. You got Rakestraw who played a lot of outside in college, and who was a second round pick and projected a first round pick earlier in the draft season. He's another guy that's interesting. And you got Emmanuel Mosley, who for some reason they haven't thrown out there yet. They got some guys at the cornerback position that I think they can hold up if they start sending Kendall Vildor out there.
yeah, that is where the issue is because Vildar gets
He
beat.
scares me. He scares me.
Yeah.
Good tackler. He tackles and he does a lot of times find himself in the right position. But when it comes to the not turning around and finding the ball, committing the penalty, kind of panicking thing,
Getting
uh,
beat.
yeah, he does a lot of
I've
that.
seen him get beat multiple times.
Yeah, he makes me very nervous. Especially if he's not getting safety help, which thank goodness our safeties are here at least. I think the secondary is okay. One of Mosley, Rakestraw, somebody has got to step up. But other than that, I feel pretty good about the secondary. But we need Anzalone back, and this D line is just I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, D line is it's definitely open. It's definitely left open.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost their two best D linemen because Hutchinson and McNeil are the best guys from that line.
Yeah.
Uh, and they're both gone. Reader is still really good, obviously, but he's more of a run stuffer, double team eater kind of guy. Zadarius Smith is good, but he didn't exactly show up last week either. So now it's like you just kind of
Well,
lose.
it might be an awful week. Smith,
Yeah,
he been all right. He been all right.
He's a good player. He's a good player, and I expect him to bounce back. But I have my concerns with the depth, with the versatility. Like when a lot of the guys are there, they can do a lot of things and move a lot of guys around, but they kind of become a little bit static when they start to lose some of these guys to injuries, where they kind of got to stay in their spots. Pascal is back. Onzarike is back. That's good to see. Like they played last week and they weren't horrible. Just kind of struggled to seal the deal with Josh Allen. Pascal in particular, just Josh Allen is just so hard to bring down. He's so hard to bring down.
That's a big boy, as I keep saying. Man, that's a big boy.
He
He'll
is
probably win MVP at this point.
yeah, he's for sure the favorite. But even outside of the size, it's like Pascal has the size, but then the speed. Like he's running at him, and then Allen just goes around him, and it's like what do you do? Like what do you do? I really kind of felt for Pascal because I feel like he was giving a really good effort. And I think that he might get up at Caleb Williams this weekend, but Josh Allen is just him, Lamar Jackson. Those two guys are really bad matchups for this Lions defense.
Yeah, especially at this point with us having we got 17 people on IR. That's the most in the NFL.
It's rough. It's rough, and I mean, this is kind of the nature of being a Lions fan, is you deal with a lot of these struggles and these difficult things, and you got to overcome adversity. And we just got to keep supporting the guys. We got to keep rooting for them. They've had a great season. They still have a great team. I still think they had the best offense probably in the league. I mean, Buffalo obviously has a case for that as well, but I think the Lions offense is a little more dangerous, but the defense has got to pick up the pieces, and hopefully within a few weeks we can figure it out.
Yeah, because our defense gave up over 500 yards.
Well over 500 yards.
48 points. Yes. And we don't score 49. What we talking about, but
yeah.
Defensively, hopefully we get some people back. We make some, we can only do so much next man up and schemes and things of that nature. You know, it caught up to us a little bit in Buffalo, but I got faith in us.
Yeah, I'd say my thing is let's break out of it. Let's reverse this trend of okay, we lost the game because this next matchup is one that record wise on paper is one that you'd expect the Lions to win big. It's not. I think this game is going to be kind of rough too because they're playing Chicago, which they
Mhm.
don't ever really seem to blow them out. Like they usually get the W, but they seem to struggle a little bit against Chicago. It's going to be in Chicago. It's probably going to be cold. Um, I'm
Caleb
just
gonna be running around.
yeah, and I need to see the offense specifically kind of go off in this game. Because I don't anticipate Chicago to score a ton of points. Caleb doesn't seem to be progressing the way that the Bears necessarily like right now. Wide receivers haven't been what they expected them to be. There's some issues on the Chicago offense, but I would like to see the Lions score at least 30 points against the Chicago defense.
Yeah, I definitely think we need some the rest of the season. We need some 30 pieces,
Yeah.
30 pieces or more, because that defense is gonna give up some stuff. I mean, let's call a thing a thing. I ain't saying we're gonna lose the game, but the defense they're gonna give up some stuff. I mean, we got backups in, we got people coming back, we got the most people on injured reserve,
Mhm.
in the NFL. And I'm not making no excuses. I'm just saying. But I definitely feel before the injuries, oh, no problem. Chicago, we can get it. But as you said, even when we were a little bit healthier, I mean, we didn't blow Chicago out. We won, but we didn't blow Chicago out. But now it's like, Chicago, it's more of a level playing field at this point because of the injuries. But before the injuries, oh yeah, we was the most dangerous team in the NFL. We still are, but it can be had in different ways now. But make
Yeah.
no mistake.
They just got to pick up the pieces on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm really interested to see how they come out this week. I know Dan Campbell is gonna have them fired up. I know that Dan Campbell is fired up. He's been doing his little press whatever interviews and things like that, and he's been very fired up about look like we've been eating caviar for however long now. We've been up. You feel me? We've been the fancy team, the trendy team. And right now we got the ham sandwiches. You feel me? Like we got to eat with what we got. And we got to fight through that. Like we got to remember that we are supposed to be a tough team. We're supposed to be an underdog team. We're supposed to be a gritty team. And the Lions gonna have to make sure that they still got that chip on their shoulder. And I'm hoping to see that against Chicago. Don't come in there just like, oh, well, they're 4-10 or whatever their record is, and we supposed to win this game. No, they got to come out there with that chip on their shoulder. Like people think we're not as good anymore. People think that we're not a threat anymore. They got to come out there and they got to ball out. So I'm really intrigued to see what Lions team we see on Sunday.
And definitely to piggyback off what you said, why do you bring Dan Campbell up? So with that press conference after the game, he was saying about, because obviously everybody has their opinion on 12 minutes left, fourth quarter, onside kick. Should we have did it? Should we not? I personally think we shouldn't have did it, given the Bills a short field. But came out and said that he doesn't think that he should have did it. What do you think about that?
Um, so I'm very much the truster in Dan Campbell. He's gotten us this far. I love the aggressiveness. I love the assertiveness. I'm always here for whatever is going to take you a chance, whatever is going to maximize your opportunities. If it's going for it on fourth down, if it's faking a punt, if it's running a blitz, if it's an onside kick, whatever it is, we gonna go down swinging. Um, I didn't see that coming, so I was a little bit surprised by it, and I didn't. I would say I wouldn't have done it, but I also 100% see the rationale for it. The Lions were not stopping the Bills. So if you're going to give them the ball, why not give it to them in a position where they have less of an ability to eat the clock up? So if they're going to score early so we can get the ball back and we can respond again versus letting them eat the clock up, then they score, then we get the ball back with even less time to kind of make this a game. So I lean towards no in that situation, but I also wasn't like, this is a horrible decision necessarily. I think that it just looked a lot worse because they ended up getting a lucky bounce and returning it inside the 5 yard line. That you don't really plan for. That's kind of off the script a little bit. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's not my favorite decision, but a lot of Dan Campbell's decisions aren't necessarily my favorite decisions. But I trust him. I'm never going to second guess him. Never going to second guess him.
I'm gonna go the opposite. While I thought about what you just said, where the Lions clearly weren't stopping the Bills. Obviously, we know they gave up over 500 yards, but with the onside kick, chances are the team that's doing the onside kick is not going to recover it anyway. I know he wanted to steal a possession, but I felt how we should have stole a possession was taking the ball from Josh Allen, an interception. I think we should have tried. I wished, that we stole a possession that way. Not an onside kick where the probability of us recovering it anyway is not going to be high. It's going to bounce. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. I didn't think we were going to get the onside kick. And then now the rules have changed where you got to declare it. So it's like me even more at a disadvantage. You give Josh Allen long fields. He starts from the 20 something. He starts from if they get a touchback, he starts from the 30-yard line. And he was able to take it up the field on long fields, But if the Bills were to recover, it's an even shorter field. They already pretty much in field goal range if they don't get a touchdown, or they just gonna get a touchdown. But I feel giving the Bills a short field, in my opinion. I know they wanted to steal a possession, and I know Dan Campbell even thought, okay, even if they were to score, let's not give them a lot of time. We need to come back and let's bounce back. But at that point, and we had a couple trips in the red zone. Okay, yeah, we did score some points, but we still punted 3-4 times. So it wasn't a guarantee that even if we got the ball back, that we was going to score. So I just didn't agree with trying to get us to steal a possession that way. I do have belief in them, but
So I guess my question is this: if the Lions kick that ball, would you have preferred that they just kick the ball away normal?
yes,
And what do you think happens if they do that?
Bills score anyway.
Exactly. So for me, I think
But the Bills did punt once, so maybe we could have stopped them. I don't know, but
yeah, they punted once because of like a penalty after they had already moved the ball past the 50-yard line. Even if you did get them to punt, they were going to eat up a lot of clock. But for me, the thinking is, while it's very unlikely you recover an onside kick, as you mentioned, if you kick that ball away, the Bills are probably going to go down the field and score. You're not winning this game unless you get that possession away. This was your best shot to be able to get that possession.
I don't think so.
So what's your best chance of getting the ball back without allowing them to score?
So we do the kick. They take it to the touchback. Touchback is 30-yard line. I think we should have tried to steal a possession. We could have tried to get an interception, punch a ball out, something like that.
You don't think they were trying to do that the whole game? They were getting ran through. They weren't just going to get an interception now because they wanted it more.
In my opinion, I think that was the best way to get us back the ball. And if we had done that, we would have had the short field.
But I don't understand that line of thinking where you think that you're going to get an interception when this team has completely moved the ball down your throat the whole game. You're not going to get an interception. Josh Allen
I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but to give the Bills a short field, we are not getting that possession. We're not getting the onside kick.
The fact of the matter is, recovering the onside kick is a lot more likely than you managing to come up with an interception in a game where you were completely overmatched. The Lions were not getting an interception. There's a 0% chance that was going to happen.
And they weren't getting the onside kick. I think we should have.
Why wouldn't they have gotten an onside kick?
You see why? Because it don't usually happen. And then you have to declare that you're doing it now, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. And you can only do it in the fourth quarter.
So if we look up the percentages of how often teams recover onside kicks, it is very small, obviously. The chances of the Lions randomly getting a turnover against a team who was literally shoving the
I
ball down their
like our
throat.
chances better that way.
Again, I just completely disagree. They had no shot to stop the Bills. They didn't have a chance. They weren't going to just magically get an interception because they wanted it more. The most likely chance was for them to recover an onside kick to be able to flip a possession. And I'm telling you, that only comes down to a bad bounce of a ball or a receiver bump, just fumbling the ball or like losing a handle on it.
And
I
that's
think
usually
that
what happens.
exactly. And I think that happening on an onside kick is a lot more likely than Josh Allen making a mistake. Josh Allen was not making any mistakes on Sunday. It wasn't happening. So I think that gave them the best chance of being able to get a possession back. They ran an onside kick even later in the game when it was way toward the end and came this close to recovering it. Again,
It's always this close to recovering it, but you never do recover it. The team that usually kicks it.
you are more likely to recover it than the Lions were to get a stop against Josh Allen. They were not getting any stops.
I liked our chances with trying to get the stop. We still had timeouts left. We still, of course, we was way further from the 2-minute warning.
I
I
just
didn't like the call.
I don't understand the line of thinking that we had a chance to get a stop when they couldn't stop them. Like they couldn't.
Right, you couldn't stop him either way. And I know he wanted to try to see, okay, we'll eat the clock up, even if they get the short field. But in my opinion, they should have gave the long field, tried to get a stop, try to get the turnover that way.
Yeah.
Not that either outcome would happen, but I don't like in that Josh Allen, I mean, giving him a short field at 12 minutes. Eh.
Yeah, which again, he's going to score anyway. Like they were going to score. So why not give him a short field at that point so they can score a little bit faster? Scoring in the red zone is a lot more difficult than having a full field. I get the decision. I probably wouldn't have made the
Yeah, but they
decision.
had 7 trips in the red zone already, so that wasn't really going
Yeah,
be
it's still more difficult though. I'm not I wouldn't have made the onside kick, but I definitely understand the rationale because it was their best chance of flipping the game. They had no other shot of stopping Buffalo, other than just I guess praying somebody made a mistake. Which
I wouldn't say pray, but
I mean, there
I
was
would
nothing
like
else
to
to
try to
happen.
get the stop. We had 12 minutes left. We had timeouts. We got the 2-minute warning, which is like a timeout. I would have liked to get the stop down there on the long field.
Yeah, good luck with that because it wasn't gonna happen. But yeah, again,
Maybe, maybe not. But we saw what happened, and yeah, they scored.
yeah, again, that's exactly the point is that they score. So try not to give him the ball back in the first place would be my objective. But um, either way, so the Lions did end up losing the game, 12-2 now.
Who after you in that background?
Yeah, I'm not gonna make any Josh Allen jokes. I'm not gonna say anything bad, but they are wilding out here. So again, Lions tight in the division now. Obviously want to compete for the number one seed, want to compete for the division. You want to get as good a seeding as possible. A team that's this injured could really use the bye week as well in the playoffs. Um, what are you thinking? What's the most likely outcome? How are you feeling? Do you think the Lions managed to hold on?
You know, I've been watching just all types of people, all types of podcasts, ESPN, Vikings fans, football fans, commentators, and you know, people really do not see the Lions as a threat really anymore, which that surprises me because hey, you don't, we got the injuries, but don't get amnesia. We didn't get 12-2, for no reason, but I think if we are asking who will win the division, I think the Lions can pull out the division. I think the Lions can pull out the division. Obviously, the Vikings are 12-2. We are 12-2. We do right now, I believe we own the tiebreaker, don't we? Yes, we own the tiebreaker. So I listen, y'all can hop off the Lions train if you want to. I'ma just say it's your thing. Do what you wanna do. I can't tell you who decided to. I got the Lions, damn it. I still think we can come out with the division. The Vikings' schedule is harder, in my opinion, than ours. I think the Vikings. I think they might drop both games.
Who do they have left?
They got Seahawks. They
Mm,
got us, and I think they got the Packers. I want to
sounds about right.
say Seahawks, Packers, Lions. We got Bears, 49ers, Vikings.
Yeah. Looking at that schedule, looking at how the season has gone, looking at how we played against Minnesota, how we played against Buffalo, even. Um, if I had to make a pick, it would be Detroit. I think that the Lions are going to hold on to the division. I think that specifically, again, how they come out this Sunday is really going to tell a lot. I think that if they respond strong, I think if the defense gives their best effort and at least works to slow Chicago down, and the offense doesn't let these questions about how they play in cold weather and how they're going to play without David Montgomery and you aren't
Mhm.
as explosive as Josh Allen and the Bills, all these kind of questions and doubts. If they don't let that kind of stuff creep up and they do what they can to win this game, I feel pretty good about this team. Now, if they lose to Chicago, if they come out and they just don't perform well, I feel a lot different. But I think that the Lions are going to hopefully beat Chicago. The way that the 49ers are injured, I just don't know if they're going to be able to pose a threat. They might have given up by that point, to be honest. And
Because
I
what
mean,
are they? What 6-8 or something?
yeah, they're struggling along here now.
I'm like,
And even if it does come down to the last game where it's Lions Vikings for the division, um, I'd pick the Lions in that game, especially with it being at home. I would pick the Lions in that game.
oh, we got that game.
I don't. Sam Darnold's been good. He's had his ups and downs, but overall he's been fine. And he definitely gives the Vikings a lot to think about as far as what their future looks like, leading them to this kind of a record. Obviously, they have dangerous receivers, and the Lions have had good and bad games covering Justin Jefferson. I personally just don't find the Vikings defense very threatening. I don't. I think they have a great coordinator who masks a lot of their deficiencies, and I don't think that that works against the Lions. And we saw it earlier in the season where it didn't quite work. It worked early on, but then once the Lions got their rhythm by the second quarter, the Vikings didn't really have a lot of answers. And I think that this Lions offense is a lot more of a well-oiled machine than it was then, even though we did lose Montgomery. I think in general, the other players on the offense are playing a lot better. So I would expect the Lions to beat Minnesota if it came down to head-to-head for the division. We'll see if it gets there, though, because, again, the Vikings' schedule doesn't look very easy. The
But
Seahawks
they
are
got to play the Seahawks. Seahawks ain't no. That
yeah,
ain't a walk in the park either.
that's a tough game. I love to see. I don't know if that's home or away.
I
If
think
it's
it's away.
if it's away, that's going to be a really really
Okay.
hard game for Minnesota. Green Bay obviously is not going to be an easy game for Minnesota, and then neither will we. So I think Minnesota has three tough punches. If Minnesota goes 3-0 in these games and they win the division, you got to take your hat off to them. You got to take your hat off to them at that point. Like that should be damn near a Super Bowl favorite if they pull those 3 games off. I don't see it. I'm not saying they're gonna go 0-3, but I don't see them winning all 3 of those games, and I
I see
don't.
them dropping too.
I could see them dropping 2. I could see them dropping 3. Honestly, I could. I'm not saying they will, but I don't think they pull off all 3 of those games. And I'm not saying the Lions gonna win all 3, but I think their 3 are more favorable than Minnesota's 3 for sure, because it's not an easy 3-game stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say this. Besides Detroit, a lot of people, like Detroit fans, a lot of people have hopped off of our bandwagon.
Good.
They now saying the Vikings. They think the Vikings gonna win a division.
And I love to hear that again because this Lions team needs that chip on their shoulders. That's what they have built this whole thing off of is that they're the underdog, that they got something to prove, that they got to fight a lot harder than everybody else does, and they can't lose that thought process. And I'm not saying that they have lost that thought process, but they can't lose that thought process. So I'm hoping
All
that they
grit,
stick with
baby.
it, huh?
All grit, baby.
Yeah, literally. Like you got to fight down to the last minute, and this is grit right here. Is when all you guys is down, and all the chips is stacked up against you, and everybody has low expectations for you. What do you come out and show? Like, do you give your best? Do you win? Do you pull it off? And like I said, I think this game against Chicago is really going to say a lot, not because of how good Chicago is, but because of what the Lions are dealing with and what the circumstances look like. So I just hope Dan Campbell's got these guys fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, the way Dan Campbell been in his interviews, I definitely feel he got him fired up. Gibbs, I believe, did an interview earlier or
Mhm.
yesterday. One of them. That boy's ready to step up. He's ready to go. He knows Monty is out, Monty's down. But hey, this kind of reminds me of us in the Houston Texans. Man, everything was just going wrong. 5 interceptions, just all types of shit going on, and we had everything literally go wrong in that game, and we stayed in it. We didn't panic. We fought, and we came out with the win. So Detroit just can't lose faith. I still got us top of the division, baby. I still got us winning that division, so we can have our little bye week. We can come out swinging, and to win a division, I still think you're going through Detroit to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still the Lions division to lose. They still do control their own destiny. They just got to win. They got to go out and win. They've done it a lot this year, so they just got to keep winning.
Yes, I think it's our division to win, but some people they saying if they want to win it, you want to win it, you got to go through the Eagles.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people who don't do proper analysis. Not saying the Eagles aren't a good team, but you know how the talking heads are, the ESPN folks are. A lot of guys are just kind of talking, whatever the narrative is, whatever the trend is. A lot of people aren't looking at what's actually going on the field. I think if you look at what's going on the field, this Lions team is the best team in the NFC. Obviously, Buffalo has a little bit to say about the best team in the league right now, but yeah, I think this Lions team is still the best team in the NFC. So I expect them to prove it within these last 3 games, but we'll see. We shall see.
All right, go out Detroit, prove it. Detroit if we got some home games, Detroit fans, we gonna need you out there, baby. We gonna need you out there.
Yeah, gotta be loud, gotta be vocal, gotta just stick behind the guys because this is again as good as we ever been. And if you can't support them now, then I don't know when you expect to support them. So
say that. Say that.
awesome. Well, we can go ahead and wrap it up. Thank y'all again for listening in. Obviously, a very critical juncture of the Lions season. So feel free to keep coming back to us for the updates, the info, the analysis, whatever you're looking for. But signing off, of course, it's your boy King Keith. CB, take it away.
All right. Join us in a couple days for the next episode. CB signing off. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from at 411 Lions CB. Peace.